Good afternoon. I'm Sala Sander, and you are watching League TV, a service of the League of Women Voters of Sheboygan County. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan grassroots political organization established in 1920 that advocates for informed and active participation in government. Our members are women and men who work to improve our systems of government and impact public policies through education and advocacy. The League neither supports nor opposes candidates for office at any level of government. Today, we are interviewing the incumbent candidate for the office of Mayor for the City of Sheboygan, Mayor Mike Vandersteen. But before we begin the interview, we want to thank you for agreeing to meet with us today and also for investing your time and resources in running for office. What is the role of the mayor and what do you believe you can bring to the position that your challengers cannot?
Well, first of all, I want to thank the League of Women Voters for putting this opportunity together to get my story out to the people that are going to be voting in the election coming up. So thank you so much for that. Now, on the role of the mayor is it really represents the city and its residents, and it really he tries to be a catalyst to get things done in a community. Communication with residents is primary. We want to listen to their feedback and concerns and address those things in the work that we do. As mayor, I've taken a number of efforts to try to communicate more with our residents. We started an e-newsletter called the Sheboygan Insider that's issued monthly. We also have I instituted Nextdoor, which is kind of like a Facebook for neighborhoods program, and we already have a penetration of about 7,000 users on that. And then we also enhanced the use of our social media, our surveys. We've been broadcasting all of our meetings during the pandemic so that they can not only see just the council meetings on TV, but all the committee meetings where a lot of the decisions are made in city government. And then I also have been doing COVID updates to it twice a month to give the people the latest information on what's happening in our community with the response to the COVID-19 pandemic. The mayor also represents the city on state and federal matters. And I have bi-monthly meetings with our legislative representatives on the state level. We also have representatives from our federal offices that attend that as well. And that gives us an opportunity to let them know how we feel about some of the bills that are going through both the state and the federal legislative action and get our input into those and how they're going to affect our community. I also reach out and have monthly contact with Sheboygan County, meet with the County Board Chairman and Administrator, and then also with Seth Harvatine, the Superintendent of the Sheboygan Area School District, so that we have good communication with our local partners in the area. You know, the citizens pay taxes to all of us, and sometimes they don't care about our different organizations as much. They just want to know that the money that they're giving us in their taxes is being spent properly and put to good use, and we don't have duplication of services. I also get involved in economic development, meeting with developers, promoting our South Pier Enterprise Campus to see businesses grow and attract new businesses to our area. And then I also work with our department heads and administrator to move new initiatives forward. One of the things that I'm bringing to the situation is by being involved in Sheboygan County as a supervisor and a county board chairman for 15 years as a supervisor and 4 years as county board chairman, I built up a reputation and a knowledge of another one of our municipal governments. And now we're able to work much better together because of that. We've got
Thank you,
purchasing.
Lord Mayor. It sounds like there's a lot of work that the mayor does, which leads me to my second question. Sheboygan is one of the few cities of its size to have both a full-time city administrator and a full-time mayor. Should the position be full or part-time?
Well, I think it should stay full-time. For the last decade, we started with a chief financial officer, and that evolved into a city administrator. But since the 1970s, we always had an assistant mayor that was working for the city in the mayor's office. The big change that we have now is we've taken that mayor's assistant and we've switched it over these years to an administrator. The administrator really answers to the city council, where before the mayor's assistant just worked in concert with the mayor in his duties. So it really isn't much different than what we've had before. The big change is that the administrator has a lot more power in the administration of city government. He hires and fires our employees. He has the approval power of many things in the budget. And so as mayor, you have to work in concert and cooperation with the administrator. There can be opportunities for conflict, and ultimately the council will decide those. But fortunately for me, I've gotten along with our administrators quite well, and we've done, I think, the best for the citizens of Sheboygan, working together and both being full-time employees.
Thank you. Diversity, equity, and inclusion, or DAI, has been actively discussed over the past few years in schools, businesses, and government. What does DEI mean to you? And do you think the city should invest in programs and policies to promote diversity, equity, and inclusion?
Well, diversity, equity, and inclusion is very important. Sheboygan is really a diverse community. And if we look at our school district, we already are a majority minority community in our school district, and that's only going to be proliferated in the community more in the future. The Sheboygan Police Department was really the leader in this area when they adapted and had training and diversity education for all of our police officers that serve on the police force. This diversity training has allowed them to do their jobs and do a much better job within the diverse residents that we have. Right now, we're looking into programs to extend the education to city staff. I've investigated the Dignity and Respect campaign that Appleton has adopted, and there's a local committee, I understand, that's also working on programs that they'd like the city to consider. So as we go forward, we're going to have to make some decisions on which program we want to undertake. And again, this will also be a council decision. And we're putting our strategic plan together for 2022 through 2026. And when we do that, we're going to be hiring a consultant to do a full blown up community input session and extract as much help from the citizens as we can to formulate this strategic plan. And diversity and inclusion will be a plank in that plan, one of the guiding principles that we'll be addressing. And this plan will address the DEI concerns in Sheboygan and the goals that they set for both our city employees and for the community at large.
Thank you. The City of Sheboygan Public Schools just returned to a hybrid classroom virtual model after being closed since October. Bars and restaurants are open for business, and many of which are not adhering to Governor Evers' mask and social distancing mandates. If it meant that we could open schools, would you be in favor of enforcing the governor's mandates?
Well, the governor's mandate has been pretty effective. It's really been more of an education and voluntary compliance situation. But it's working in Sheboygan County. Right now, over the last month, our trajectory is down 42%, which is just amazing. Our burden rate right now is 364 to 100,000 persons. And if we continue to decrease this trajectory and get below 350 per 100,000 persons, that level, we will be able to downgrade from the very high alert level that we're in right now into just a high alert level. So we're making progress and going in the right direction. But the problems really come in some of the events that we go to. And there's another big event called the Super Bowl that's coming up. And we really, as a community, need to stay focused, try to stay in our family bubbles, wear masks and practice social distance, and also wash hands often. And we'll get through this. And you know, right now the governor's mandate enlists businesses to participate and require masks in their business, and that's a good thing because it helps to talk about enforcement is the other part of this issue. And strict enforcement is really a last resort when communities that are having an outburst. I just read an article about the governor of Michigan who had his enforceable mask mandate, and a judge forgave all the fines that had been issued. So, I don't know if something like that would happen here in Wisconsin. It would probably depend on some of the legal matters there. But I think what we're doing with education, the promotion we have in the community to wear masks and practice social distancing have been real effective. And vaccinations are just starting, and I encourage everyone to participate when their vaccine is available to their age group. Aurora Southside Clinic is going to be opening up. St. Nick's and Prevea are opening up UWGB campus and conducting their clinic there. Lakeshore Community Health is talking about weekend clinics. And there's several pharmacies that already have vaccinations available. So let's get everyone in Sheboygan vaccinated and get that herd immunity that we need to get rid of this pandemic.
Thank you. Many small businesses have suffered greatly during the pandemic. The city's Small Business Emergency Assistance Fund is funded by $420,000 in CARES dollars. Now, only $220,000 has been awarded to City of Sheboygan businesses. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, first of all, it's very frustrating to see our small businesses suffering during this pandemic. And I've worked with our representatives on the U.S. Conference of Mayors to persuade federal representatives to change some of the rules in the CARES Act so that we can get this funding out to more businesses. And these efforts, the mayors across the nation, were successful. And now those rules have been relaxed. And previously, a business who had participated in the PPP program or any other federal program to help businesses out during the COVID period could not apply to the city for those funds. It was only the ones that hadn't done anything. And now these new rules will allow us to consider making grants to the businesses that have had some other federal help to give them the additional help that the city has available. And we're working aggressively to get that $200,000 out the door to help businesses as soon as we can. The other thing that we did is we really got on board with Small Business Saturday during the holiday season. And that really paid some dividends for some of our businesses. And we want to continue to encourage people to shop local, take those dollars and reinvest them into their community by buying from the local merchants as much as you can.
Thank you. Do you feel the City of Sheboygan ran a fair and accurate election this past November? Is there anything we should be doing to increase voter registration and access to the polls for all qualified voters?
Well, I think we have a dedicated staff at our city clerk's office and a great crew of people that volunteer as poll workers. And I think they all did an excellent job. The city clerk had a couple of polls that had to be switched because places weren't open because of the pandemic. And we found some great locations to allow people to come to the polls in person. And we put many good practices in place so they felt comfortable. And hopefully we practice as much social distancing as possible during that. Having the absentee ballot registration online gives people an easy way to participate. And I think many people took care of that or took advantage of that. And in addition, we added a special drop-off box in the drive-through lane at the Meade Public Library to make it very easy for them to drop off their ballots. And we also had another drop-off in City Hall right inside the entrance. So the only thing that I've heard that might make it a little bit easier for our clerks is if they had the opportunity to process the absentee ballots prior to the election, that would make everything work a lot smoother and be able to get the results out on a more timely basis. And I understand that State Senator Devin LeMahieu was talking positively about that, and I'm hoping that the state legislature might consider that in the coming session and look forward to more great election days coming up.
Thank you. Let's switch to a lakefront development. What kind of development would you like to see on the former Armory site?
Well, the loss of the Armory means a lot to people because of the memories that they had in that building. And the city has taken a lot of efforts to try to preserve those memories. There's a new exhibit out at the Sheboygan County Historical Museum. But once the building's down now and we have have a clean site for development, I really want it to be a development that will be in the best interest of Sheboygan taxpayers. Now, there'll be a process that we will go through and follow. We'll start with a request for proposals, inviting developers to present project concepts. These will be vetted by city staff and a recommendation will be made to the city council. But the city council will take final action to make the final decision on what type of development and in the development agreement that we'd set up with the developer. So I really appreciate, the Sheboygan Press asking people what they'd like to see there. I'm sure that we'll have other opportunities for input as we go along in this process, but I'm keeping an open mind to see what developers might want to bring forward for consideration on the Armory site.
Thank you. The Green Tier Legacy Communities is a partnership to develop and implement sustainability measures promoting environmental stewardship, public health, and social equity. Sheboygan was the 11th community to join the network. Is this important to you? And if so, what kinds of initiatives do you support, especially with regards to environmental stewardship, and how would we pay for them?
Well, the Green Tier Legacy communities, that group is a very important part of our sustainability efforts. As mayor, I led the move to become a part of this partnership, and this brings cities together to share their best practices and learn from each other. We did a lot of great projects. We provided recycling education, a campaign to try to increase our recycling. We've put rain barrels out for people to use. We promoted composting. The recycling carts are again a part of us trying to increase our recycling in the community. And so far that's been pretty effective. Our recycling tonnage has gone up 12% since those carts were introduced. Now, I don't know if it's just because we're staying home a lot more or they're really recycling more, but we hope that that continues after the pandemic. I attended the North American Climate Summit in Chicago and signed the Global Covenant of Mayors for Climate and Energy Change. And as a legacy member, we created a sustainability plan and report. So we have a plan that's in place and we issue an annual report to let the community know about our progress. We also became a solar smart community, making it easier for solar projects to take place in Sheboygan. And we also became a PACE county, a property assessed clean energy county. In this instance, they take if you want to add solar components, like say, one of the examples is the Marriott Fairfield Hotel. When this was built, they used the PACE program to put an array of solar units up on the roof of this building. That was financed through the PACE program. And what they'll do is they'll take the payments that are coming due to pay that bond off, and they'll put that on their property tax every year in the future until those are paid off. So it's a neat program, and it allows businesses to tap a different source of funds to make their new developments or their remodels much more energy efficient. We also upgraded Shoreline Metro's buses to clean diesel fuel, and this is reducing the harmful emissions that the old buses caused. We also increased ridership per mile in a partnership with the Sheboygan Area School District, which allows students to ride with only their student ID. They don't have to pay anything for that. And the neat part about this is we're training a whole new generation of our children to use public transportation. And this is going to be a huge change, I think, in our ridership and usership in the future. And that, again, will reduce greenhouse gases. We also have been aggressive with our bike trails. We have new bike and pedestrian facilities, the Shoreland 400 Trail, the Lakefront Trail, Highway 23 Trail, the Taylor Drive Trail, and soon Shoreland 400 will be extended down to Union Avenue. And then we also put a solar array on the roof of our water utility. And we just announced yesterday a partnership with Alliant Energy to put a solar farm producing 1 megawatt in our industrial park.
All right, thank you. We've got 2 more questions to go. Now, on the issue of property tax, The equalized tax rate in the city of Sheboygan is $21.75 per $1,000 of property value. This makes our city tax rate among the highest in the state. Are we getting our money's worth? And do you see taxes going up or down over the next 4 years?
Well, first of all, the only part of that tax that we're responsible for is the city portion. The other portion goes to the school district and LTC and Sheboygan County. So that's a little over $10 that we're responsible for, and we're the closest government to gives the citizens the most service. But our tax rate increased 1.5% last year, or 15 cents per thousand. And the range has been an increase of between 13 cents and 19 cents over the last 4 to 5 years. So we've really done a good job, I think, to keep our tax rate level. But the strategy to hold the tax rate down is really to grow our tax base. And the addition that have been happening at different businesses like Acuity, the housing projects that are non-TIF related, like the 7 Penn project, the Washington School, the Meadowland Villas, the South Pier condos, the Lux apartments. These all have given us an opportunity to grow the tax base and spread that out over more properties and lessen the effect on the residents in our community. Tax levy caps have never been pushed to the maximum by our community, but we do want to take advantage of the net new construction that occurs in our community and add it to our tax base for the future. Some examples of the approved projects for the future are the Stonebrook subdivision, which will be about 180 lots that can be developed into single family homes on County Trunk, OK, and South Business Drive. The South Pier condo phase 2 is coming up, and Portscape phase 3 is coming up. So these are 3 more projects that are going to be non-TIF based. So again, those taxes will go on the tax rolls right away and help us to, again, keep the property taxes in check.
Thank you. And finally, what are the biggest challenges facing the city? And if re-elected, how would you help?
Well, I think there's a couple of them. First one is infrastructure. We've made great progress during the last 7 years of resurfacing our city streets. We have tripled the average miles of streets resurfaced prior to my term as mayor. There were previously, over the last 6 years, prior to becoming mayor, 1.4 miles per year. And after I became mayor, we were able to increase that to an average of 4.2 miles per year. So we've tripled the amount of streets resurfaced. But we have a long range plan, and we have to continue to work at this. We added a paving machine that uses our labor. We buy asphalt from the county at a discount. And in the future, I want to see our city consider the purchase of a milling machine, because that'll eliminate a constraint that keeps us from doing more projects. And we have to keep this long-term resurfacing plan on track in the future. The other thing that we've done in infrastructure is our city buildings, the City Hall reconstruction, Shoreline Metro garage replacement, DPW roof will be replaced soon. The Mead Library Plaza was reconstructed. The Harbor South Pier wall is being rebuilt. The South Side sanitary sewer reinforcement and raw water intake are 2 big projects that are coming up in the future, and we want to take care of our infrastructure. The next area is housing. There have been 404 market rate apartments that have been built recently. The Encore, the High Point, Portscape, the Lux, 7 Penn, Kingsbury Village, Mountain View, Meadow View Villas, and 36 condo units at Water's Edge and South Pier Riverfront. These were all added to the housing market. But at the same time, we have put many workforce housing units that are subsidized on the market as well. The Wasserman Apartments were remodeled. That gives us 118 new units. The Badger State Loft was a new project that just opened up, and those 2 projects are 264 units. Then there were 123 dormitory units in the Founders Club, and there's a total of 600 units of workforce housing that the city has commissioned a study on to analyze the market and see if there's still more subsidized housing that's needed, and how much we should plan on and try to elicit from new developers to our community, because there's many new people that are coming to Sheboygan for the jobs that are available. And if we don't have a place for them to live, then it means that they're going to live someplace else, and we will not get the full value of their employment here in our city of Sheboygan. And then the last area would be business retention and development. We have a brand new South Point Enterprise campus. We need to work aggressively to fill that up. You know, we have hired a real estate agent to help us in that, but we didn't feel that they were doing enough promotion up in the Green Bay, Fox Valley market. So we took it upon ourselves to put our own plan together to try to attract businesses from that area to come down to Sheboygan.
Thank you, Mayor Vandersteen, for taking the time to interview with us today. And just a reminder that the League of Women Voters strongly encourages all who are eligible to vote in the upcoming primary on February 16th and the general election on April 6th. And if you're not registered to vote, you may sign up easily on myvote.wi.gov. Other LeagueTV interviews may be found on our website, including conversations with other mayoral candidates. Thank you and good afternoon.
Thank you very much. Pleasure to be with you today.